Hi, it's Minna from Flex Boots and Hidalgo Saddles in Australia. This video is going to talk a little bit more about the fitting aspect of the saddles and how to utilize the placement of the panels to achieve balance in your saddle. So if we start from comparing a treed saddle to a saddle like this, there are a number of differences. So with a treed saddle, most people are concerned with the gullet plate. So that would sit here, the metal plate would sit here, the gullet width. And well, actually most people are just concerned with that, which is, it's incorrect and it's detrimental to the horse. There are also different shapes and lengths of the gullet plates that can make a massive difference as to whether your saddle fits or not. But with a treed saddle, because you have a rigid structure inside the saddle, there are several other aspects that need to be taken into consideration. Now, I am not a professional saddle fitter, I am a professional hoof trimmer, but I've spent over a decade poking horses' backs and finding that so many of them are sore, and the cause is their treed saddle. The amount of variables that need to come together to make a treed saddle fit is quite substantial. So not only is it the width of the gullet plate or how the panels are flocked, it is the shape of the tree front to back, it's the shape of the tree side to side, it's the width of the tree, and a myriad of other things as well. So if you change to a Hidalgo saddle, there is of course a fitting element involved with everything. So I don't believe there's any one single saddle that fits every horse under the planet. I mean, that would be amazing. But this will fit a great variety of horses, and it does that because the tree is made from leather. It is flexible and it will mold to the shape of your horse as you ride in it. So the aspects of the widths and the angles, etc., we are not that concerned with those with this particular saddle. But what we are concerned with is the balance of the saddle front to back. So we want to be sitting on a level seat. We don't want to be tipping back or tipping forward. And we want to have the panels in the right place so that the horse's spine has adequate room vertically and horizontally. Vertically is not going to be a problem. These saddles have stacks of spinal clearance, but more, side to side horizontally. So we don't want to be pinching the spine. We don't want to be too wide out from the spine either. And, when we're riding, we need to feel that we are going straight ahead and we're not plowing into the ground or, climbing a mountain. So this is a Spanish saddle. These, by default, by nature of them, they are built higher in the front. So if you have a super uphill horse, and when I say uphill, I don't necessarily mean high withered, because a horse can have a really high wither, but it can have atrophied wither pockets, where the normal tree points of a normal saddle would fit, which makes the saddle nosedive. So it actually makes it go downhill. So, when we say uphill, we are talking about the general shape of the back of the area where the panel sits. So I have, for example, my horse Diego, my coloured horse, he's got quite a decent wither. He's pretty round, but his saddle area actually goes downhill. So whilst he's got a wither that's higher than his back, the saddle would like to sit downhill because of the shape of his back in the area where the panels sit. So without you becoming an expert on all of that, you don't really need to. What you need to do is you need to put it on and see how it rides. If you feel like you're tipping forwards, then you need to change something. If you feel like you're tipping backwards, you need to change something. So like with everything, there are limits to how much you can shimmy things around. So I'll give you an example. So when I first got this saddle, I had the panels a little bit closer together at the back, and I had them below this stitch line. This is for Diego. I had them a couple of centimeters below the stitch line. Now that doesn't look like a huge big difference. I probably had it like that. Doesn't look like a huge big difference, but what happened was, because I baked them too wide, this area of the saddle was actually coming into contact with him, and I was getting some ruffled hairs here and I couldn't work out what the hell was going on. And you know, I've since got more education on the matter, thankfully, and I realized what I did wrong is I put the panels too wide apart, because I thought, well, he's a wide horse, he needs them wide apart. But point being is that the panels for him in a correct place are only 15 mil, so 1.5 centimeters above the stitch line. So that's like, you know, it's the difference of like 3 to 4 centimeters both sides. It sounds like not a lot, but when you're fitting a saddle, 3 centimeters on this side and 3 centimeters on this side is actually 6 centimeters change to the fit of the entire saddle. So if you need to tinker and move the panels, just move them like a centimeter each at a time. See how it feels, see how it rides, and then if you need to move more, move more. But you know, refrain from just going like from kind of one extreme placement to another. So that's, you know, brought me to the, you know, a conclusion that where I've put this one is a good default starting point that will work for most horses. So let's say you pop this on, it's brand new, the Spanish saddles do sit a bit higher in the front and you feel like you're tipping backwards. So the remedy to that is to widen the panels at the front. So like I said, you know, widen them 1 centimeter both sides, have a ride, see how it feels. If you need to go more, go a little bit more. Make sure you're checking in here whilst you're on and moving. Don't, you know, do all your checks while you're moving, that this isn't coming down onto the horse. If you still feel like it's not quite cutting it, if you have made the channel at the rear adequately wide for the spine, and if you have a little bit of room to play with, what you could do is you could move the panels a bit closer together at the back. So if you move the panels closer together at the back, you will lift the rear of the saddle, which means you'll lower the front. Okay. If you move the panels further apart at the back, you're going to lower the back of the saddle or lift the front. And the same goes in the front. If you move the panels further apart at the front, you're going to lower the front or lift the back. And if you put them closer together, you're going to lift the front and lower the back. So you've got, you know, you can play with both aspects, the front and the rear, or sometimes you may just need to take the entire panel off and keep it on its aligned kind of path, but just move the entire panel a bit further or a bit closer apart. So I know that sounds like a lot of moving parts and a lot of tinkering with, but you will get better at it as time goes on. And if you're just not confident or if not sure, we are so happy to help you. Just drop us a line with some pictures, go find the instructions on what photos we need, and we'll be more than happy to help you.